Yo guys, hey, what's up? It's Kyle here. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. I've just been really busy with school. I've got about 2 more weeks until I go on summer break, and I'll be catching up and talking about all this other junk I want to talk about. However, I just want to spend some few minutes here giving a game review of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game. I saw the movie at midnight the other night. I thought it was a great film. Loved it. I'll give a review on that probably. If not tomorrow, I will definitely do it later this week, or try to get to it, because I definitely want to get a review on that. However, before I do the movie, I wanted to do a review of the game that I bought that came out 3 days before the film, because I think this game has been so lowballed by so many reviews out on the internet. I think, there are a few decent reviews out there, should I say fair reviews of this game, but for the most part, a lot of people just throw this game in the garbage and just feed it to the dogs, when I don't think it really deserves that, at least in my opinion. So anyway, first of all, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the sequel to the first Amazing Spider-Man game. One of the things I like about this game, most movie-based games are, paste and copy prints, pretty much, of cardboard prints of the films, and most of those games suck. Movie-based games, because they're like, and even though the first Spider-Man game took a year the story place took a year after the movie, it still has some pretty close tie-ins to the movie, and the story itself. Some of the original things they were trying to do with the story, it was lackluster. The game kind of dragged a little bit. There was really nothing exciting about the first Amazing Spider-Man game. It was a decent game, don't get me wrong, but it really wasn't anything exciting, too exciting about it in terms of storyline wise. This, however, even though it has just a little elements from the movie, is not a complete cardboard paste copy of the film. It has its own storyline and tries to go in its own direction to differentiate itself from the film. It just shares the same name as the film, and I learned to appreciate that, and I like that, because the story in itself, I think is fun. I think the story is fun, by it not being from the movie, completely from the movie. I think it's a fun and interesting story in the game. Probably the only elements really you have or tie-ins to the movie is Electro and the Green Goblin. From the movie. They've taken the movie version of those two characters and they're in here in this game, but they just tie them in with the story that's going on. So for one, I like the story. I think the story is interesting because it's different, and it's not, like I say, a cop out from the entire movie. It is its own story, so I do like that. And what you feel, again, the story is interesting, and it's much better than the first one. The first one was there was just nothing there. It just lagged. It was just Anyway, another thing, the swinging mechanics on here are fantastic. After 10 years of people bitching and moaning about bring Spider-Man 2 game swinging mechanics back. Those were the best. Bring those back. Bring it back. Bring it back. To me, I never had a problem with any of the Spider-Man swinging mechanisms and stuff like that. And when people bitched about webs to shoot in the air and not sticking to the buildings, need to bring it back to like Spider-Man 2. I never really bitched too much about it, because to me, I never really cared that much. Plus, anyway, if you were to do a cardboard paste copy like Spider-Man 2 and bring it up to date, or up currently today, it'll be outdated mechanics anyway. However, be not to listen to the fans bitch and moan, and they brought back the swinging mechanism, or similar to it, but still add a little twist to it. But basically, when you're swinging in New York City, you have to use the right bumper to shoot out the web from your right hand, and the left trigger to shoot out from your left hand, the web from your left hand. And you kind of go back and forth like that, going back and forth using your right and left hands. And you have to be surrounded by a building, for these webs to work. If you don't have if there's not a building to your left or to the right of you, and you try to, shoot your webbing in that direction, but there's nothing for the web to stick to, you hear this like little beeping sound, a little clicking sound in the game, pretty much telling you that hindering you, saying that you can't shoot your web out in just mid-air. It has to be stuck to some type of object in order for you to swing. So I like that little limitation. It adds to realism, to Spider-Man. The combat here I think is fun. It does need to be updated a little bit, but it's not bad. The combat fighting style I think is good. Still, nonetheless, it's still fun to beat up the bad guys. The side missions are also fun. They try to make it different in different ways and how you save people and stuff. Does the side missions get a little repetitive? Sure, they do. But then again, what Spider-Man game we've had in the past that has not been repetitive to some degree, but yet it did not take anything away from the game? I think this is one of those games that it does not take anything away from it at all, and some of its repetitiveness in terms of the side missions. One of the things I also like about this game that the first one did not have is that after you beat the game, in the first Spider-Man game, once you beat it, there's really nothing left for you to do. You can't go back and replay missions. I think you can swing, if I remember, you can swing around in New York City, but there are like no side missions or anything for you to do. I mean, you solved all the petty crimes. There was just really no replay value in the first game. This one, however, once you beat the game, you still have your side missions, that you can clean up New York City. You can even go back and replay some of those main missions in the story mode that you've played before and already beaten. So the replay value for this is great. And plus, also too, you can also go back and collect all the comic books and read the comic books. You can go to the comic book shop, which is owned by Stan Lee. Stan Lee is in this game. He plays as himself in this game, which I thought was really cool. So a lot nice little features and whistles and bells to keep you busy even after you beat the game and you want to replay it again. So it definitely has a higher replay value to me compared to the first one. Another thing I also liked about this game is that the first time you get to play as Peter Parker. A lot of game reviewers bitched about this feature, saying that you playing as Peter Parker is kind of really nothing to it. The detective work that you do as Peter Parker really isn't anything significant. And yes, I agree, you playing as Peter Parker and doing some of the investigation or detective work that you do, it's nothing really outstanding. However, I welcome this feature wholeheartedly because it's something new and something fresh that we haven't had in the Spider-Man game series before, where you get to play as Peter Parker. And, whereas at first, my first initial thought was that maybe you would play Peter Parker on the one mission or something like that, and then that'll be it. No, you actually play Peter Parker in quite a few scenarios in this game. So it's a nice balance, pretty much, I think, a nice balance of you getting to play as Spider-Man and as Peter Parker, you're doing the investigation work. So I think it's a nice balance. And like I said, I welcome the feature of you playing as Peter Parker. I had no problems with some of the stuff that they were, requiring you to do. I just think it's something new, it's fresh, and it's something that, they can expand upon in future Spider-Man installments and future Spider-Man games, So because this is the first, I'm not going to knock it. Another thing people bitched about the graphics. To me, the graphics are fine for this. Even on PS4, the graphics are fine. I mean, they're no infamous Second Son graphics, but the graphics are not bad at all. B-Nox didn't even originally plan on releasing these games for PS4 and Xbox One. Their main focus was PS3 and 360. So they just imported this game from those systems and put them on the next gen consoles. But still, the graphics are not bad. They're decent graphics. They're playable graphics. That's the physics or anything doesn't mess up. Another thing, IGN lowballed on this, is saying how the game stalls and it freezes a lot, where it causes you to reboot your system. I have yet to have that problem with this game at all. This game has not stalled on me at all. Some of the textures from some of the characters, it overlaps a little bit, but it's not a big deal. It's nothing that's just like, oh my god, this game is incomplete. None of the stuff that IGN talked about that I have come across on a continuous basis, if not at all. Some of the AI is a little stupid, but again, the AI is stupid only on certain occasions. It's really not consistent like how IGN puts it out to be. The AI may do something, stupid, very rarely. At least in my experience of playing this game. I don't know anyone else's experience. So all in all, I think this is a good Spider-Man game. I had fun playing this. I recommend anybody who likes Spider-Man games to pick it up. I haven't had this much fun playing a Spider-Man game since, Shattered Dimensions, Ultimate Spider-Man, Web of Shadows, and which all three of those games have been out from 2004 up to 2008 or 9. So I definitely have not fully enjoyed myself as playing the Spider-Man game like I have this one. I give The Amazing Spider-Man 2 an 8 out of 10. That's just my opinion. I think it's a good game. I think it's, if you're a Spider-Man fan, I think it's for you. It's all nice little cool features. You got the different costumes and stuff, which, by the way, I like how each costume has its own unique different ability. It doesn't change much in terms of gameplay, but it's nice to have that little feature where each costume has its own unique ability and attribute instead of you just having something just to look nice in. So all in all, I give it an 8 out of 10. I recommend picking it up. I like the Spider-Man game. I think it's fun. The only other con I'd probably say about it is that the game is a little bit short. If you play through and straight through, which I knew ahead of time before I even purchased this game, it's probably about 7.5 hours. So I recommend, play some of the side missions in between the main missions to mix it up a bit. So that's my major complaint about it, is that it's the length, and it's like 14 missions, main missions. So if you mix it up a little bit with some of the side missions in between the main stories, it'll help make the game more enjoyable and more lengthy, so to speak. Because at least that's what I did. So comment, subscribe, let me know what you think about the game. Peace.